Oh, hello. You just caught me checking out my latest toy. Did I say toy? I meant tool. I bought this DJI Mini 2 for its camera to help me make videos. First I gotta learn how to fly it though. I started out just like most of you, watching YouTube videos. You're watching this one now. However, most of those YouTube videos are made by experts who have long since mastered being the beginner drone flyers. I thought it might be interesting to learn with a beginner as you go, and you learn while I learn. That's what this video series is about, learning to fly my Mini 2. I'm totally new at this, so I'm going to let you learn as I learn, and you can learn from my mistakes. The controller needs a monitor, and iPhones are the recommended monitor, although you can use an Android. I'm using my iPhone 14 Pro, and I have an OtterBox case on my iPhone. The ads say that it should hook right up. The problem was, it didn't. The remote control comes with cables, and the iPhone cable is the one that is attached. But they are hooked on the end. And the cable that comes with the controller will not plug into my iPhone with an OtterBox case on it. So, I had to obtain this cable that I got from Amazon, which is a 12-inch long cable, and the ends go in straight, and because they are straight, it will plug into my iPhone. So, the first thing we're going to do is plug in the cable. And when it does, the iPhone fires up, and the iPhone will go nicely into the remote. It's very stable, comfortable to hold. You have to go to the App Store and download the DJI app. I have already loaded the DJI app onto my phone, so let's get it started. And it says that there's a newer version of Fly that's available. Cannot take off until I load it, so let's load the new app. It's downloading it now. Says it's downloaded and it's okay. We still have to install it. Hit right up here. Oh, mistake number one. It helps if you turn on the remote control while you're doing this. Okay, the remote control is on, and now we have to turn on the drone. You do that by double tapping the button. It'll make a little click, and we can set it right over there. Now the remote control and the drone ought to engage each other. And yes, indeed they do, and we can go fly. Problem is, we're inside the house, and we're not going to go fly just yet because we have to check our settings. It now wants us to download the firmware, so we'll hit install, and it starts installing the firmware. And our DJI Mini 2 firmware has been installed, or updated actually. Now what we need to do is to go check our settings. Helps if the drone is turned on. And we have successfully connected, and you can see that the drone is taking a picture of the camera taking a picture of us. Now we're unable to take off and fly because we're inside, but what we can do is hit the three little buttons at the top and go to our settings menu. And the first one that comes up is the safety setting, and it's already set to a maximum flight altitude of 393. And in the United States, 400 is the maximum, so that's good. The maximum distance is probably a lot farther than I ever want to go, well, farther than I want to go right now. And we have a auto return altitude. I think that's probably way too high. So for right now, we're going to set it for about 150 feet. And we'll check that out later. We don't need to update our home point. That's for when we're going to go fly. Now, we got a compass that needs to be calibrated and an IMU normal that needs to be calibrated. Let's start by calibrating the compass. The experts tell me that I don't have to do that every time that I want to do this, but I'm going to do it right now for you to watch. So we'll hit calibrate, we'll hit start, and it says I want to rotate the aircraft 360 degrees while keeping it horizontal. So let's rotate it 360 degrees while keeping it horizontal. Then I'm supposed to rotate it 360 degrees while keeping it vertical. Well, that's not the way it wanted me to do it. It wanted me to do it this way. Well, that didn't work either. Oh, look, little arrow says it wants me to go this way. Well, let's keep trying. There, we got it. So that's successful. Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to make a confession to you. This is actually not my first drone. My first drone I had for 3 days. And my first drone I ended up having to send back because the next feature here, the IMU normal calibration, I couldn't get it to go past 95%. So let's start by hitting calibrate, and you notice it shows that my drone is folded up. So let's fold it back up. Set it back on the table. And hit start. And it takes off. And just like my first one, it got to 95%. And it wouldn't move over for 95%. What I didn't notice is, if you look at the little picture right there, it shows the drone laying on its side, and I never laid my first one on its side. Well, it wants me to point it this way. Well, we're having trouble again, although I got it to do keep the aircraft powered on and start and avoid starting the motors. Okay, now it wants me to move it over this way. And now it wants me to stand it on in. And finally, it wants me to lay it flat on its back. Restarting the aircraft. And it's successful. Now, I'll be honest with you. My first drone, I didn't notice that I had to change the positions. And I called DJI service in order to find out how come my drone wouldn't calibrate beyond 95%. And the person that I talked to didn't seem to know. And they ended up saying they were going to replace the drone. Well, that's just fine, although it took quite a while for me to send it to California and for them to send it back, about a week and 2 or 3 days. They paid for the whole thing. They gave me a whole new drone. Since then, I've had a couple of more contacts with DJI service, and they have been excellent. They really have. And while we're talking about their service, let's talk about DJI Care Refresh. You have to buy DJI Care Refresh within the first couple of days of having your drone and having it registered with them. The cost, as I recall, is slightly less than $50. Now, I'm not one to normally buy extended warranties, but this is much more than an extended warranty. For the first year that you have your drone, they will actually replace it twice. they will replace it the first time for an additional $49, and they'll replace it the second time for an additional $59. And it doesn't matter whether the drone has been a manufacturer fault or whether you flew it into a wall. No questions asked, they will replace the drone. That's a pretty good warranty. I would suggest you at least check that out. Now, my replacement here didn't come under DJI Care, but they automatically transferred my DJI Care Refresh policy from my old drone to my new drone, and they started the 1-year period over with the date that I registered this drone. I think that's a pretty good deal. I would suggest you look into it. All right, so we have now calibrated. I think right down here is find my drone. You're going to want to read up about all of that, but we're going to go over here to the controls, and you can set your controls. Mine are set to Imperial because I'm here in the United States. You can change the color of the front LED. Here is a gain and expo tuning. Let's hit it. And you notice that it's got your 3 flight modes. You've probably read about these. It first comes out normal, and you can set the maximum angular velocity, and you can set the yaw smoothness. I would suggest you slow these all way down while you're learning. I at least did. And then you can switch over here to the cine mode and change it. You can switch over to sport mode and change it. Play around with these and see how well you're doing, but at first, slow them down while you're learning to fly. All right. MPV mode is, I think, where you wear the goggles, so you want to do a follow me mode. It is suggested by the experts that you allow the upward gimbal rotation, so you can see I've got that turned on. You can calibrate your gimbal. I've already done it, so I'm not going to do it again, but you should. You can turn your phone on to charge. I don't do that because I don't want to run down my batteries. There are stick modes that can be changed. 2 is the recommended mode, but there's others, and you can change it around if you've been used to playing video games or something, that the sticks work differently than this mode 2. You can change it. I left mine at mode 2. The button that's out over here on the side, you can customize what it does, and I've changed mine to bring up the live map if I press once, and it'll center my gimbal again if I press it twice. And down here is a flight tutorial. We're going to go outside and try that for the next video, but for now, we're going to leave that off. You can set your cameras, change your cameras. I'm going to let the experts tell you how to change your cameras, and you can change how the drone transmits back to the receiver, whether it's on 2.4 gigahertz or 5.8 gigahertz, or dual band means it's going to find its best method. So we have basically gone through all the settings, and let's get back out of here. I think that's going to wrap up today's video. I hope you got something out of it. Don't forget, if you're having problems with your cable, look for a new cable. You can find those on Amazon. And one of these days soon, we'll go out and fly. Have a great day.